My assigned department. It's like I've been sent to clean the restroom. My daughter Cindy has been a working adult for just a month. I can still vividly remember Cindy's smiling face as she headed to the welcome event with so much excitement. However, ever since that welcome event, Cindy has been subjected to unfair treatment from her senior, Sean Hall, and has been enduring it silently. There were even times Cindy came home crying, but she would lie to keep me from worrying, hiding her true feelings. I should have noticed sooner that she was going through such a hard time. Determined to resolve this, I decided to confront her workplace the very next day. So are you here to complain instead of seek an apology? Oh, I see. This must be one of those helicopter parent moments. Like father, like daughter, right? If he had sincerely apologized, I might have let it slide a little. But apparently, that wasn't going to happen. Hello, CEO. Consider the $120 million loan off the table. At that moment, Sean Hall's path to misery was sealed. My name is Brandon Walker. I work as a department manager at a bank, handling loans and financing. At 48 years old, I have a daughter, Cindy, who is about to graduate from college. When I talk about this, people often say, "So soon it'll just be the two of you and your wife." But that's not how things are. Cindy's new job is close enough for her to commute from home, so she has no plans to move out yet. Even if she did, it wouldn't be just me and my wife. My wife passed away in an accident when Cindy was in 8th grade. Losing her was a devastating blow to me, but it hit Cindy even harder. Hey, don't you have an important test coming up soon? Are you sure you should be out playing every day? I'll be fine. I'm planning to lower the bar and aim for a school I don't even need to study for. All right, just don't come home too late, okay? I'm not a kid anymore. Stop nagging me. Cindy slipped on her shoes with a scowl, slamming the front door behind her as she left. I stood there staring at the unchanging door for a while. Middle school is such a sensitive time. Losing her mom at that age made her a bit rebellious. When she entered high school, things got even worse. Are you planning to join any clubs in high school, Cindy? Leave me alone, don't talk to me. Whenever I'd try to engage with her, she'd respond with cold, minimal words. Those words always cut into my heart like a knife. Still, I wasn't too worried about Cindy. Deep down, I knew she was a serious and responsible person. Even though her words were harsh, she always responded when spoken to. And despite her complaints, she never missed a day of school. I believed she would eventually return to the thoughtful and diligent Cindy I knew. Until then, I thought it best not to scold her too much, knowing it might have the opposite effect. About 3 months into her high school life, I received a call from her homeroom teacher. Cindy has been absent from school for the past 3 days. How is her condition? Her condition. Hearing the teacher's words, I recalled the scene from this morning. Cindy had left the house wearing her uniform. However, it seems she never made it to school. According to the teacher, Cindy called the school herself, claiming she had a cold, to skip school. She explained her reason as, "It's just Dad at home, and he's too busy with work." Even when she comes to school, she doesn't attend classes but hangs out with friends in empty classrooms. Could we have a discussion with Cindy together? After hanging up the phone, I sighed deeply. This was one of those calls from the school you often see in dramas. It seemed Cindy had turned into a problem child. Still, I wasn't overly worried about Cindy. As her parent, I knew better than anyone that she was fundamentally a sincere and diligent person. Don't you feel embarrassed that your dad had to come here like this? Let's not be too harsh, teacher. Cindy seems to regret her actions and will probably attend classes properly from now on. While the teacher and I were talking, Cindy remained silent, her face downcast. She must have felt guilty about making me take time off work to come to school. Indeed, Cindy was fundamentally honest. Even if she tried to act out, she couldn't fully embrace being rebellious. The fact that she called in her own absence was proof of that. "I'm sorry." In the car on the way home, Cindy muttered those words. Finally, I got to play my role as a parent. "I'll tell Mom about this when we get home." When I responded to Cindy's apology with a smile and a joke, her face lit up, as if all her tension and anxiety had melted away. "Dad, let's stop by the grocery store. I want to buy Mom's favorite snacks. Make sure you apologize properly to Mom too when we get home." At home, Cindy and I placed the snacks in front of my wife's picture and reported all that had happened, reassuring her that there was no longer any need to worry. Cindy's rebellious phase ended in about 6 months, but I had my own reflections to make. I had thought that scolding her would backfire, so I kept my distance. But this was just me avoiding dealing with Cindy, who had been emotionally hurt by Mom's absence, because I didn't know how to connect with her. If I had faced Cindy directly from the beginning, her rebellious phase might have ended in 3 days. I promised my wife that I would no longer avoid her. From then on, Cindy attended high school diligently. She went on to college, secured a job, and was now on the brink of graduation. But Cindy would soon face her first challenge as a working adult. Just before Cindy's graduation, I was approached by a major chemical company about a funding consultation at work. Our company has been renting land and buildings as needed to set up factories. Over time, we've ended up with 5 scattered factories. So even though they aren't far apart, transportation and management inefficiencies are driving up costs. Exactly. So we've decided to consolidate the 5 factories into one large company-owned plant. That includes not just the purchase of land, but also the installation of new machinery. Right. Yes, that's right. Before I knew it, it became a major project worth $120 million, one that could determine the fate of the company. The person seeking my advice was sweating more and more as they continued speaking. Many people who come to me for consultation are like this. Because of that, I can usually get a sense of the situation. Also, the fact that the CEO personally came to see me reinforced my conviction. $120 million is a lot. It's no wonder they're scrutinizing it closely. Right, exactly. The banks have been nothing but cold to us. Well, banks do tend to prioritize past performance and certainty, after all. But don't banks always say they're willing to invest in promising businesses? In reality, even excellent startups often struggle to get approved. My company, however, is different, so don't worry. If we see potential, we'll make sure to provide financing. We've even funded companies that were turned down by other banks. Mr. Walker, please, do whatever you can. The person pleaded with me. I couldn't make the final decision on my own, but I couldn't help feeling the urge to support people who work this hard, especially when the CEO of a major company comes to a first consultation and personally appeals to me like this. A few days later, Cindy graduated from college, and soon the day of her welcome events arrived. All right, I'm off. Wait a second. It's your first day at work, right? Let me take a picture of you in that suit before you go. I don't have time, and it's embarrassing. Plus, there's a welcome party today, so you'll have to handle dinner on your own. She left the house with a smile. I felt disappointed that I couldn't get a photo, staring at the door she'd just closed. Oh well, I'll get one sooner or later. But I was eager to hear about her first day. That evening, as soon as I finished work, I hurried home. When I opened the front door, The house was dark. Cindy's not back yet, but her shoes are here. I left my work bag by the door and headed to Cindy's room. Standing by her door, I listened closely to what was happening inside. It sounded like she was crying. Could something have happened at work? Back when she was in high school, I regretted not addressing things immediately. I couldn't let that happen again. I knocked gently on her door and called out, "Cindy, are you crying? I'm watching a dramatic part of my show. Leave me alone." Oh, my bad. This time, I realized I'd misunderstood and acted rashly, ending up embarrassed. Feeling sheepish, I went back to the entryway to retrieve my bag. The next day, I shared this story with the CEO, who had come to consult with me. "Ha ha ha, that's tough luck." Yes, Cindy scolded me, and I was pretty embarrassed. But thinking about it, these days, companies are so careful about how they treat employees. It's hard to imagine anyone crying after their first day at work, right? That's true, but I sometimes feel the world is too lenient with employees now. Back when I was young, getting yelled at or even hit by senior employees was just part of the job. Ha ha ha, that would definitely be a huge issue today. Now then, let me review the documents. Everything seems to be in order, so I'll pass them up for approval. Please ensure we get good results, Mr. Walker. I can't go into much detail due to my position, but the content seems fine, and I'll do my best to get the review approved. Talking to my boss last night eased my mind a bit. Since Cindy was upset yesterday, it was hard to discuss work. But today, I felt ready to listen to her. When I got home from work, I asked Cindy, who had already returned home, "How's work going?" "Training started today. Over the next month, I'll rotate through a few departments and gradually learn the job. They said it's to understand the company's overall operations." "Got it. So it'll be a bit longer before you get to work in your assigned sales department. Understanding the company's work is important, but I can't wait to start sales." Cindy spoke with a hopeful expression. It was only her second day at work, but so far, everything seemed fine, which gave me peace of mind. However, a month after Cindy started her job, Cindy isn't back yet, but her shoes are here. When I returned home from work, the house was completely dark again. I set my work bag down at the entrance and headed to Cindy's room. Once again, I heard her crying from inside the room. Another drama. I should leave her. I quietly stepped away from her door and returned to grab my bag from the entrance. Later, as I relaxed in the living room, Cindy came out, presumably after finishing her drama. "Another drama? Yeah, there's one I'm really into right now." "Got it. How's work?" "You're about to start in sales, right?" "I've already started in sales. Right now I'm shadowing Mr. Hall to learn the ropes. It must be tough getting used to it, but keep at it." "Yay." Cindy talked cheerfully about her work. However, her eyes didn't seem to be smiling. I assumed it was because she had been crying while watching the drama earlier, but it turned out I was mistaken. A week later. "Whoa, you scared me. What's wrong? Why are you here like this?" "Dad, I'm sorry I've been keeping quiet until now. I can't take it anymore. Please help me." When I returned home from work, I found Cindy sitting in the dark entrance, hugging her knees and crying. I brought Cindy to the living room, sat her on the couch, and gave her some water. "Are you calm now? What happened?" The truth is, at the welcome events party, a senior employee, Mr. Hall, said, "Let's go for a drink after this." I didn't know how to respond, so I just said, "I'm sorry," and declined. But then he yelled, "Don't get cocky just because you're a new hire." His face and voice from that moment keep replaying in my head. "So that's why you stayed in your room on the day of the welcome events. Did no one help you at the time?" "It happened in the hallway near the restrooms. So, did you tell anyone about it? I was afraid they'd think I was causing trouble with colleagues on my first day, so I didn't talk to anyone. Plus, since I'd be rotating through different departments during training, I thought I wouldn't see Mr. Hall as often. It seems your bright expressions during training were because you didn't have to deal with Mr. Hall. If that's the case, you should have told me earlier. Coming back from the welcome event and saying, "I don't want to go to work anymore," would have worried Dad, don't you think? Cindy's eyes grew watery with every word she spoke. Clearly, this was Mr. Hall's fault, and something she should have reported to her manager. However, as a newcomer, Cindy didn't know how to handle workplace issues properly. Her overly serious personality seemed to have worked against her, leading her to endure it silently. And this incident was just the beginning. It didn't stop there. After the training ended and my real sales work started, Mr. Hall was assigned as my mentor. What's worse, he volunteered for it. So Mr. Hall is in sales. That means you're with him the whole time while working. Yes, I accompany him to his sales clients in the car. But when we arrive, he hands me garbage bags and gloves. Garbage bags and gloves. He told me, "I'll talk to the client while you pick up trash around their company." He also gave me a neck badge holder. It's the kind used for employee IDs, but the badge was extra large and had the company name and my name printed on it in big letters. Why would he give you something like that? And why are you picking up trash during sales visits? Mr. Hall said that if someone asked, I should say, while waiting for Mr. Hall, "I'm cleaning up around the company as a gesture of appreciation." He claimed it would make the company and us, as salespeople, look good. He also said, "It's essential to leave a good impression in sales, and I'll teach you more ways to do that." That's just him holding a grudge over the welcome party and bullying you. Haven't you reported this to the company? He told me, "This is my unique method, so don't tell anyone about it." Unable to hold back anymore, her tears finally spilled over. Deep down, she probably knew Mr. Hall's actions were just harassment and should be reported to the company. But as someone who had only been in the workforce for a month, taking action seemed too daunting. Mr. Hall seemed to take advantage of her reluctance to escalate his behavior. Starting last week, he began giving me a bucket with brushes and detergent. "What were you supposed to do with that?" He told me, "Go to a nearby park and clean the bathrooms. Do some community service to improve our image." Yesterday, all I did was clean 3 public restrooms. It feels like my assigned department is just toilets. I could feel my entire body heat up. Some might think it's inappropriate for a parent to step in for their adult child's workplace troubles. But I was filled with anger and didn't care. I decided Mr. Hall needed to face the consequences. The next day, I went to Cindy's company. After explaining the situation at the reception, I was shown to a meeting room and told to wait. They still have work later today, so I hope they come quickly. As I sat there shaking my leg and glancing at the clock hanging on the wall, Mr. Hall walked in. Apparently, his name is Sean. Sean looked at my face and, from the very first words, said something unbelievable. "Are you Cindy's dad? Well, what a troublesome daughter. You must have your hands full with her." What? I was expecting Sean to approach me with an apologetic expression, so I was taken aback. But then, seeing his smirking face, anger surged in me stronger than it had last night. "What exactly about Cindy is troublesome to you? She's been skipping work without notice after just a month on the job. And now her parent is here to apologize for her. She's clearly lacking the backbone needed to stick it out. There are always new graduates who quit shortly after joining, and Cindy seems to be one of them. Usually, they complain about not fitting in, but people like that won't last anywhere. While it's fine if she leaves this company, make sure she doesn't cause trouble at the next one. All right, that's your job, as her dad. For a moment, I felt like punching Sean, starting with a running leap, but knowing that would only put me in the wrong. I reluctantly held back my fists. I heard from her. Apparently, you didn't even bother to train her for the job, and instead had her cleaning toilets. That was part of teaching her how to create a good impression as a salesperson. The order in which tasks are taught is up to me. Once she got the hang of her current tasks, I planned to teach her how to interact with clients, but it seems she gave up before that. Oh, wait, are you here to complain instead of apologize? Oh, I see. This must be one of those helicopter parent things. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree. He seemed determined to argue that he wasn't at fault. Sure, if you say it's to leave a good impression as a salesperson, it might sound like a plausible excuse, albeit absurd. And I had no evidence to prove Sean had intentionally assigned Cindy to toilet cleaning and trash picking as harassment. Confronting Sean might only result in a slap on the wrist for him from the company. He seemed to understand that as he looked down at me with a smug expression. He must have looked at Cindy the same way. My anger, which had been simmering since last night, only continued to grow. If Sean had genuinely apologized, I might have forgiven him, but it seemed that wasn't going to happen. It was almost time for my next appointment. I decided he needed to deeply regret mocking Cindy and me. Excuse me for a moment. Resolute in my decision to act, I reached for the phone in the conference room and dialed an internal line. I had already gotten permission from the receptionist, so there was no issue. Hello, President. Let's cancel the $120M loan deal. What? Oh, yes, I'm already at the company. In the conference room. I was scheduled to meet you later, but I arrived early to handle something. Yes, understood. See you soon. What kind of performance are you putting on? Are you trying to say you know the president and can ruin my situation? Do you think anyone would fall for such a bluff? The president's coming here. Right. I'll wait here as long as it takes. The president was in their office, so they should be here in less than 5 minutes. Well, I guess that makes the wait easier. Sean's face still showed an air of confidence. I was curious to see how his expression would change. Less than a minute later, the sound of running footsteps approached, and the conference room door burst open. What do you mean by saying the loan discussion is off the table? Huh, the boss. Did you really come here? You're one of our employees, right? Why are you here? Listen, boss. This guy here keeps saying that my actions are somehow causing Cindy to skip work without notice, like it's my fault. I was just dealing with this complainer. Mr. Walker, a complainer. Do you even know who you're talking to? Isn't he Cindy Walker's dad, the new female employee who joined us this year? What are you talking about? This gentleman is a banker and a benefactor who has been helping us secure a $120M loan. $120M. But the employee didn't tell me anything about her dad being a banker or being involved with this company. Now that you mention it, I haven't heard about Mr. Walker's daughter joining us either. Listening to the slightly mismatched conversation between the boss and Sean, I found myself amused. But since the discussion wouldn't move forward like this, I realized I needed to explain things to both of them clearly. It's only natural for you two to be confused. I haven't told Cindy about my connection to this company, and I also didn't inform the boss that Cindy had joined your team. Why didn't you tell her or the boss about the loan? I thought about it, but I decided not to. If I said something like, "My Cindy has joined your company, so please take care of her," It might have been misunderstood as me asking for preferential treatment for both the loan and Cindy. While such trouble likely wouldn't happen, knowing that Cindy works here might have made everyone more self-conscious. This is a $120M deal we're talking about. I wanted to minimize any potential risks, no matter how small. So you were planning to keep Cindy working at our company a secret the whole time? Not at all. I planned to bring it up at least after the loan decision was finalized. Was the reason you didn't tell her about your connection to this company also to avoid trouble? Exactly. There was a chance Cindy could accidentally reveal the connection between me and this company. Plus, I wasn't sure how much the company had shared with her about the new factory plans. If the groundbreaking date for the factory was a major announcement, and Cindy found out about my involvement before then, it could have derailed everything. That too would have caused unnecessary trouble. This was all about risk management. What are the odds of a situation like this? A parent negotiating a loan for the company their child works at. Is that even possible? It's not that unusual. Many companies around here turn to Mr. Walker's bank when other banks reject their loan requests. Ours is one of them. That's true. And this company is big enough to plan a $120M factory. There must have been a lot of new graduates applying here. For students living around here, this company was probably a top choice. Cindy just happened to be one of those students. It feels like an unlikely coincidence, but it's actually not that extraordinary. The CEO, upon hearing that the loan discussion was being withdrawn, looked pale, as did Sean, who likely feared he would be held accountable by the company. At this point, however, the CEO still did not know why I had suddenly decided to cancel the loan discussion. In his panic over the situation, the CEO suddenly asked a question. This was likely what Sean feared the most. Mr. Walker, I understand that Cindy joined this company. But why does that lead to canceling the loan discussion? Sean's shoulders jerked in surprise. Serves him right. At the welcome party for new employees, this gentleman here made advances toward my daughter. When she rejected him, he yelled at her and made her clean the restroom all day under the pretense of work. Restroom cleaning. That isn't part of the job here. Please explain to the CEO why restroom cleaning was part of the job. You explained it to me just a moment ago, didn't you? Sean said nothing, only lowering his head. There was no evidence to prove that Sean intentionally harassed Cindy. However, the fact that her story angered her father enough to cancel the loan discussion remained. In this situation, Sean could not offer a flimsy excuse as he did earlier. Seeing Sean's silence, the CEO seemed to understand the situation. My sincerest apologies, Mr. Walker. Your anger is completely justified. This employee will be disciplined, and we will ensure that Cindy is treated properly. Is that so? I trust you'll keep your promise. We will, absolutely. So please reconsider canceling the loan discussion. This project has already made progress, and if we lose the loan now, our company will suffer massive damage not just financially, but in terms of trust with our partners. It could even jeopardize the company's survival. This loan is vital to us. It seems there's been a misunderstanding. Cindy's mistreatment at this company is a family matter. It's separate from the loan discussion. But if the loan discussion is canceled, yes, it's now apparent that this company mistreats its employees. This is an ethical issue. I'll need to revise the documents we submit to the board. Our company is very strict about these matters. I'm sure this will significantly impact your credibility and the review process, especially for a loan of $120M. You mean, if I adjust the documents the way I'm thinking, the branch manager won't approve them, let alone the headquarters. So yes, the loan discussion will be cancelled. No, please, I'll apologize. Just reconsider the loan. Hey, what are you doing, boss? That hurts. The boss grabbed Sean's arm and tried to make me offer a sincere apology. He bowed repeatedly, but that alone couldn't justify forcing Cindy to clean the restroom, a task completely unrelated to her job. Well then, if there are any updates on the loan matter, please let me know. And about Cindy's situation, I trust you'll handle it as promised. Wait a moment, boss, I said it hurts. I left the company, ignoring the voices of the boss and Sean behind me. Later, Sean was transferred to a different department, away from Cindy. The reason harassment of a new employee quickly became the talk of the office. Naturally, he was met with cold stares, and having lost everyone's trust, he was relegated to menial tasks. Eventually, feeling he had no place in the company, he quietly disappeared. Cindy, on the other hand, continued working at the same company. The boss later apologized to Cindy and promptly began assessing and improving the work environment. The details of these efforts were compiled into a thick report, which was delivered to me. The boss likely wanted to demonstrate that the company no longer had any ethical issues. Still, in the documents I submitted to the higher-ups, I included there was an ethical issue among employees. However, I also noted the issue has already been resolved and submitted the materials I had received from the boss. As a result, the boss's loan application was approved. To be honest, even though I had said, let's drop the loan discussion, I knew that as long as their revenue and plans met the criteria, addressing the issue would likely result in approval. I just wanted to ensure Sean faced proper consequences, and that efforts were made to improve the work environment. So I used some strong words with the boss. Now, she can work at her current workplace without worries. She avoided having to change jobs after just a month. And with Sean gone, her cheerful demeanor returned. Mr. Hall's transfer was that because you talked to my company, Dad. Thank you. I feel so helpless. I didn't even know how to get the company to take action. You've only been working for about a month. It's okay. You'll learn. Yeah, I'll do my best. But how did you manage to get through to my company? The boss personally apologized. Well, you see, seeing a chance to show off, I proudly told her the truth about my connection with her company. After hearing my story, she looked at me with what seemed like newfound respect. I shared this incident with my wife, boasting about it as I gave her the update.